Welcome back to the Comfy Chairs, a podcast from 123 Limited. This is your host, Kate, and today's episode is a comfyHQ installment where we tackle the real questions leaders face every day. Today we're talking about two deceptively simple but deeply important topics. First, how do you manage your own insecurities while still projecting confidence as a leader? And second, what qualities do all successful leaders share? We'll dig into both with a blend of honesty, practicality, and encouragement. How can I manage my own insecurities while trying to project confidence as a leader? How wonderful. It is so refreshing to encounter a leader who acknowledges having insecurities. Too many leaders still think they must be all confidence and certainty. The truth is, we need human leaders, not perfect ones. That being said, this is an important topic because employees will struggle when a leader lacks too much confidence. So your job is to circumscribe boundaries and observe yourself. Here's what this looks like. Examine your insecurities. What do you feel? What tasks or topics bring those feelings? Get clear about the exact nature of your insecurities. This will help you manage them. It's like drawing a box around this part of yourself. Not to compartmentalize it, but to measure and understand. Next, you need to create balance. Do the same for your strengths. What are the topics and tasks that bring feelings of confidence? When do you feel most capable? When do you perform at your best? I'm certain the first list will come easily and you'll struggle with the second. So be diligent and candid with yourself in identifying your strengths. You're not done until your list of strengths is at least as long as your list of insecurities. With this exercise, you've named your fears and begun compiling evidence to counter them. You've drawn a boundary around these insecurities to contain them, and now you can continue collecting evidence of what you do well by observing your thoughts and actions over time. Eventually, you will have enough information about what you do well that it will silence the little doubting voice, or at least tell it to be quiet. In case you're worried about or feeling a little uncomfortable here about pride or ego, rest assured that what you're not doing is building up a false ego. You are giving yourself a balanced view of yourself and your capabilities. This is an aspect of humility we tend to forget. People who are truly humble know their limitations, where their limits start and end. They capture both ends of their personal spectrum rather than leaving whole parts of themselves out of the picture. This type of holistic awareness and self-knowledge is the goal. It is the state of being that will allow you to manage your very human insecurities and possess healthy confidence in your leadership. What are some key qualities that all successful leaders share? I'll admit, this is a hard one for me. It's oh so tempting to respond, "It depends." And that's not a weak cop-out. There are so many factors that can contribute to or subtract from a leader's effectiveness. But let's go deeper, starting with effectiveness, because before we can name the qualities, we need to define success. I would submit that a successful leader is an effective leader. This is someone who, in the broadest terms, gets results. But not just any results. Instead, effective leadership produces the necessary results, whatever it is that the business requires. This points us to the logical first quality, knowing what the business requires. And this extends beyond the nuts and bolts of productivity and cost savings and other common metrics that to encompass the people. Again, logically, We can state that a key quality of successful leaders is that they do not divide people needs from business priorities. They know that these are intrinsically connected, indivisible even. That's why it's essential to talk about these together, what they look like and what it takes to do both well. In short, knowing the business and the people means being a student of your industry and organization. These leaders are fluent in company goals and outcomes. They also have a pulse on employee concerns and satisfaction. They scan the internal environment for wins and gaps while observing external forces that can impact operations. Whenever the conversation involves a business priority, they're also talking about the employee perspective and impact. That's the thing about successful leaders. They have business savvy and people smarts, which tells us what the third quality is: emotional intelligence. It's interesting that sometimes people can possess EQ, but they don't do much with it. It's more observational than interpersonal. This is the difference in effective leadership. Emotional intelligence is not a tool that's pulled out when it seems necessary. It is an ongoing living practice. These leaders direct their awareness to understanding themselves, to exploring others' feelings and needs, and to constantly learning how to be better in every interaction. It's an active form of emotional intelligence that creates waves while still building connections. There's a quality that's closely connected to being emotionally intelligent that I want to call out as a separate trait or expression of successful leadership. This is recognizing that leadership isn't about the leader. Some might even label this as servant leadership. At its heart, this is embracing an attitude that shows you understand your team isn't there for you just to do what you want. Instead, leaders with this quality recognize that their role is entirely dependent on and exists to support other people. Rather than asking, "Are they doing what I need them to do?" these leaders question themselves. They ask, "Am I doing what they need so that they can do their work?" The last quality I'll call out today is this: successful leaders talk about the future, not in vague terms or with lofty aphorisms. Instead, the most effective leaders are able to make future possibilities visible for others. This happens in small moments, like encouraging your team in the middle of a tough shift. "We can do this. We've had harder days than this, and I know we're going to get to the end of the day and be proud of ourselves." It happens when a new member joins your team. "Let me share what you'll be doing and how you'll work with the rest of the team." And during the events that define the team's future. This is what our future will look like and what it will take to get there. Being a successful leader who talks about the future means constantly directing your team's focus to what they will accomplish, what role they each play in the process, and the outcomes you will all experience. And being skilled at this relies on knowing the business and your people and having the interpersonal savvy and perspective to connect with individuals and teams. So let's sum up these qualities to close. First, successful leaders know what the business needs. Second, they understand that people's needs are connected to business results. Third, they possess emotional intelligence that actively, energetically, and unapologetically shows up as empathy, humility, and curiosity. Fourth, they recognize that leadership isn't about the leader. The work of leading is about the people. Fifth, they're able to talk about the future in concrete, actionable ways, from daily assignments to long-term vision. And I'm going to throw in a bonus characteristic of successful, effective leaders. They constantly refresh their foundation in these 5 truths. Call it lifelong learning, or a growth mindset, or mindful leadership. Revisiting the characteristic traits and skills that come together to make you effective is a vital part of your success equation. Because leadership is rarely about having all the answers. It's about building the awareness to know your insecurities, the courage to acknowledge your strengths, and the discipline to return again and again to the practices that help you grow. And when it comes to success, remember, the most effective leaders never stop learning what the business needs, what their people need, and how to shape the future together. Thanks for joining me in the comfy chairs. I'll be back next week for a conversation about managing bias with vulnerability. Until next time.